Okay, well, I'm going to kick off just in the essence of time, make sure that everyone's don't want to keep you too long on a Friday. We've got, I think we booked out, I think we said it was published as an hour, probably be 40, 45 minutes, hopefully. And if we do have time for Q&A, so if we do run over that, then yeah, happy to chat and then also follow up. This is the first of a series of webinars that we're going to be doing. This one obviously focused on safety in sport and data really. I'm really privileged to have Andrew with us today from Newcastle United Foundation. Really great partnership we've been building over the years, and he's here to not only just talk about what we do together, but also all the things that they're doing in the foundation to try and kind of push things forward from a digital transformation point of view. Some really interesting projects that you may or may not know about if you're other foundations. So looking forward to diving into that. What I will do is just as an intro. I know Andrew's not on the call, but he's probably either was invited by him um, or you know of him, or you saw his post on LinkedIn. But Andrew Hicks is our UKMD. He's probably the person who'll be either following up with you or has already spoken to you recently in regards to Coordinate Sport. Jacob, you can see today he's our account executive, and he's going to be um, running through one of our features with me shortly. And then myself, co-founder, CEO James Moore. Um, what I wanted to do is just give you a bit of an overview so you can see what we're going to be covering today. Sorry, Andrew, this is the only picture I could find you to throw up there, but at least you got a trophy in your hands. We got the agenda. So yeah, a little short introduction, a little bit about Coordinate Sport for those people who don't know. Keep it really brief. We're going to have a little deep dive into our health and safety module with Jacob. He's going to give us a bit of a walkthrough to kind of show you what we have in that area. Deep dive conversation with Andrew, like we mentioned. Um, Andrew Foster, Director of Programs and Impact at Newcastle United Foundation. Um, we do have, I guess, a giveaway or freebie it's a tool that we use with organizations that we partner with who are starting out or even just want to assess where they are from a digital transformation point of view. So we'll show you that, and that's going to be a downloadable after the call, or we'll email it out, and then we've got some time for some Q&A if as and when things pop up go along. So just kicking off on the kind of breakdown of Coordinate Sport and what we do. We are a software provider working with organizations in the sports sector primarily, and this is kind of what we set out to achieve. So software that simplifies your operations and helps you increase your impact on the sports that you're working in. These are all the different types of organizations we work with. Obviously, heavily focused today on sports foundations, but you can see the kind of the breadth of organizations that we work with. Anyone really who has a team of people out in the field delivering programs, needing to collect data, needing to have registrations and feedback to funders or commercially. So and this is probably one of our most important slides, where just to position where we are, because there's so many different pieces of software, so many different tools that you'll be using, whether they're commercial or mandated by your funders or your directors or the board or partner organizations. But effectively, this is where Coordinate Sports sits, and using our logos and as to show where we are in the kind of ecosystem. These two areas over here is something we don't do. We don't cover kind of accounting like your classic kind of Zero and Sage packages. And we don't cover kind of B2B sales, where everything from the moment someone has made a booking or you've launched a program, everything from there through. So we're probably going to talk a bit more about that in regards to Newcastle and what they're doing around CRM systems for sales. But where we sit is right in the middle of all these kind of operations that you might be having to manage, depend on your role. But within any organization in our sector, these things are really key. Our software sits right in the middle of those and brings them all together. So as an example, our competitors or other products in the market, we might say, are kind of one-dimensional. They might be just covering one area. So these are examples of those. So obviously, hundreds of booking systems out there, Rotor in, and these might ring a bell. I'm not sure if you're using any of these or any partners might be, but our system Coordinate takes the relevant features from each one of those for our sector, for the sports coaching and delivery field, and we bring them all together. So just as an example, you might know some of these, but Coordinate brings them all into one space. from a data perspective, and it's something we're going to be talking about, is how do we connect all these different databases up so that at the moment they might be sitting in different areas or duplicated, and also being shared or sent or have different access from different organizations, either in different permission levels inside or outside your organization. But for us, the data that sits inside Coordinate as a core is all of your customers, we call them. So that'll be parents and children, anyone who is attending your activities. So participants effectively in a family format. So hierarchy of parent and child. All of your staff, so your delivery team and non-delivery team members. Records are of your partner organizations. So these might be schools or organizations that you work with. And then we have some equipment management and other areas that we manage. These are the core databases. And we like to say connected data multiplies in value. And also if it's not connected, it kind of works the other way where it multiplies the time and effort required to manage it and the potential risks of breaches, etc. So some basic numbers on basic areas of features that we cover. I think probably about there on that. I know some of you or a lot of you might know about the program already, but I thought it's good for us to effectively give you a bit of a walkthrough so you can kind of set the scene a little bit for when we're talking with this health and safety feature that we're going to talk about, as well as our partnership with Newcastle, so you can see where we sit in their organisation as well. Okay. Jacob, I don't know if have you got your demo fired up there? If there is any
Yeah, I'll pull
questions,
it
if
up.
you want to, I'll kind of man the chat. If there's anything you want to throw in there, any questions? I don't think there will be at this point, but yeah, happy to take those as we move from each section. And also, if you do have anything you want to ask Andrew on the Newcastle perspective, have those ready because we can shout them out as he comes on. But yeah, I'm going to swap sharing with you, Jacob, if you want to take over.
Yeah, give me 2 seconds.
No worries.
Real. So if everybody could see that. So as
Great.
James mentioned, one of the main areas of our application is we call it our records. The records is essentially all the venues that you guys deliver at. We break that down into direct records and schools. Schools obviously being self-explanatory. Direct is things like leisure centres, football pitches, that kind of stuff. Now, the main area or the thing that we're going to focus on today in terms of the records is the health and safety stuff. So within these records, if I just pull an example of a school up here, and we toggle to the health and safety area, you can see within these records, you can store all the risk assessment and induction information for your venues. Now, these can be scanned in if you've got them already. Alternatively, you can actually enter them through the system. The beauty of our platform, because it's an app and it's available on phones, tablets, whatever it may be, coaches can go out into the field, deliver complete risk assessments. They're not having to do it on paper and then enter it after the fact. All these risk assessments and inductions also have expiry dates. And the beauty with the expiry dates is that when these have come up to expire, your management will get alerts and you can make sure that somebody goes out and updates this risk assessment and induction information. If I just click into one of these so you can see how it looks.
Jacob, just while you're bringing that one up, I thought it'd be
Yeah.
probably good to mention that our platform is really based on a proactive approach, if you like. So we're going to be creating the risk assessments annually. So this kind of paperwork that you'd be doing all the time. From a dynamic risk assessment point of view, I know there's some really great systems out there. I know Dom's on the call right now from Proactive. So anything that's kind of out in the field, incident reporting, etc., things like that. Our vision and what we're working towards at the moment, we've got multiple APIs that we're connecting with right now. One of them would be within the health and safety area, as well as safeguarding to kind of enable those reports to be pulled in. I know we're going to probably talk with Andrew about some of the reporting tools that they're using, but just one for us to kind of set the scene a little bit as we're looking at this. This is your kind of your annual site-specific and sport-specific risk assessments that you'd be completing on all locations that you're working in.
Yeah. Just on that, James, I think we've got a question from Joe at Man United about consent forms. So where consent forms would sit, etc.
Yeah, I think if not to go too far away from health and safety, but from a consent perspective, that'd sit with the participants. So everyone would register as they register an account, they're asked multiple consent questions, whether it's just marketing or social media or just consent to attend. So that's where it would sit in there as within your participants area.
Definitely. And I was just going to say on these risk assessments, these can be generic for the venue, and you can also have activity specific risk assessments as well. And the beauty of these, because they're all digitalized and everyone's working off the same platform, it actually feeds into the staff profiles, and staff get access to these risk assessments and inductions automatically. So if we just log in as a coach, so you can see what they would see. So we'll log in as this guy here, Aidan. Bear with me 2 seconds, guys. So this is kind of what a coach would see. This is their timetable. They can log into this, access this on their device. Then when they're delivering their sessions, they can just click into here and you can see all the information they need to be able to deliver at the best of their abilities is within here. And the key thing, like I say, that we're talking about today is the health and safety information. So rather than you guys having to send it automatic or send it manually through WhatsApps, emails, drive links, whatever it may be, this information is automatically sent out to the coach. They can access it on the go, and if needs be, they can also make updates. And then the beauty from a kind of management operations perspective is, again, if we go into this coach here and we toggle to the health and safety tab, we can actually see, as you can see here, whether this staff member has read or not read this documentation. And this isn't just the same for risk assessments, it's the same for inductions and kind of any other documentation that you need the staff to see, policies, that kind of thing. But it just makes sure that we know we're compliant and we know that staff has read basically what they need to read. Okay. Just another question, sorry.
No, I think it was Joe just
saying thanks.
Yeah, I was going to just pull up on that in terms of this audit trail here. You can imagine over time, this is fully automated. So if any changes have been made to that risk assessment, and we haven't really touched on, but induction pack is a big one. So for you guys who are running multiple programs with the same coaches, so they might be switching in and out of different projects that might be funded differently or different approaches to deliver or locations, etc. Those inductions are kind of really key for you to be able to kind of manage that remote workforce. Any edits that have been made on those, or any time a coach is deployed to a school or location that they haven't been to before, they're automatically reminded that they've got health and safety information to review and sign off. And then we've had a few instances with customers over the years where this actually helped them if there was an accident or incident. It's allowed them to say, look, they've done everything they could do in terms of training, providing the assessment, and it's like a freak accident or whatnot. So they've been able to provide that log to their insurers and then successfully get the claim covered. So I think Jake was just running through
just an example of an
induction pack here. Yeah, so this is all the information of a school down to policies, venue information, equipment available. You can add images there for like the either the site as it is or the site that how you want it to be set up. Let's say if it's a tournament or something, you want it set up in a certain way. Maps and stuff, you can put that all in there.
Just gonna say, has anybody got any questions on the risk assessment stuff just before we jump off it?
No. I think we're good. Yeah, again, don't want to go too much into demoing, but we thought that was a relevant one and one that we're seeing a kind of a lot of demand for with organisations looking to kind of make sure they're covered there for the fundamentals. I think with the webinar we are going to be publishing it, but we'll be chopping it up as well, so that section will be available to view again or share with any of the people in your organisation. So what I'm going to do now, cheers, Jacob, thanks for that, mate. Appreciate you walking us through. Andrew, I want to kind of turn to you while we've got time, we're not running over yet, and have a good chat about our partnership, really. So Newcastle United Foundation, as a kind of a bit of history, we initially started working with you, maybe I think it's like 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even more than that. One of our first customers. Prior to that, my background is in operating and running sports organizations. So a lot of those features you might see are designed around operational challenges that have come up over the years, and we've developed the platform. But initially, we probably worked with Newcastle for a few years, more 3, 4 years, where you were only really using one area of the platform, right? It was just kind of, I think it was just staff scheduling, I think
Yeah.
initially. And then yeah, more recently started to branch out. But what I wanted to do, I think that was related to your, I don't know if it's a policy shift, but I know you kind of launched that focus into digital transformation as a real core of what you're all about as an organization. So I don't know if you can talk a little bit about that process of how you came to focus so heavily on it, and with I don't know
Yeah.
if you're involved in creating that strategy.
Yeah. So, like James said, we've been working with Quadrant for a number of years, and it's an example of a system we use. But what I think we came to realize is that we weren't using the systems effectively, and kind of to their anywhere near their full capacity. I think James, you told me a stat where we were using less than 50% of the system's capability that we were also paying for, which kind of was a stark reality check for us, really, that we weren't getting the best out of the systems and the money we were investing. Our previous business plan of 2020 to 2023 had a bit of a digital strategy in there. But what we've sort of realised is when we reviewed towards the end of that business strategy, it was more around efficiencies of getting rid of paper and trying to transform documents that might have been on paper or paper-based workbooks in a school and put them in a cloud, in a tablet, in a computer system. And to be honest with you, that wasn't was part of what was needed. And our current business plan, we've completely refreshed our digital strategy. So it's about digital and data. And that phrase that keeps coming up as data is king. So what we've realized is that we need to be able to manage, use, gather insight, push and pull data much more easily than we've got. And Coordinate is one of the systems at the kind of center of that. It's a big piece in our strategy. So we use Coordinate originally for booking platform. Sorry, for a staff deployment platform. So getting staff in the right place at the right time. We've got over 100 staff that are deployed every single day. So it's quite a complex piece of work. And Coordinate allowed us to do that much more efficiently, looking at people's qualifications, people's locations in terms of staff, the type of work that we're going to do, helped us rank options of who was available and who was the closest. So it improved our efficiency that way. Then we've added in the whole booking system, which is so simple for us to do now. We used to have a cumbersome process of inputting all the delivery for staff, sending that information to our marketing and comms team. They then inputted that into our website and created a booking platform. Whereas now it's seamlessly integrated. We create the block of work for staff in Coordinate, click a button, it publishes it to our website for participants to book. And then all of that participant detail comes back into Coordinate. So our big piece of work at the minute is understanding the digital systems we've got, what the capacity of them is, and really critically, how do they talk to each other? So Coordinate is one part of our business. Our business development team are going to use Salesforce for a customer B2B Salesforce piece of work and storage. We also use Substance Views for a lot of programs. And the big piece of work we're sort of working on now with James's team and Andy in particular is building an API link from Coordinate Sport into Views so that actually all of that data sings and talks to each other. So
I
it's
think I
really
was going to
about.
say on that. I was going to say on that one, Andrew, as well. Obviously, from our perspective, that's our vision for the next year or so is building all those APIs. We understand, like, we're really confident in where we are. There's core areas, but we know that there's other systems that, whether they're tools or big systems, that are really good at what they do. So it's kind of, we want to be able to make that data seamless. I think that's been a real challenge you've had over the years of having data everywhere and not maybe being able to do the analytics and the insights
Yeah,
that I thought you wanted to pull.
and linking it back to our financial control processes. So actually, how do we allocate financially a community coach's time who works across 5 or 6 programs a week? And out of the 50 community coaches we've got, not one of them has the same working week and same pattern. Well, actually, what our management accountant can do, he can pull a report from Coordinate which tells them the exact hours per member of staff on each program, which then allows him to allocate their financial spend in a much more detailed accurate way that represents the work that the team are doing. So that insight and reporting that we're starting to gather from Coordinate is really useful across all of our business functions. So my delivery team, finance, HR, safeguarding, it covers us across a number of different aspects of the work that we do.
Yeah, like that. And I guess you touched on Salesforce there for your CRM and kind of business dev department. But again, obviously we're working on this substance views API, but also with you being Salesforce from a sales perspective, we'll be working on that as well over time, especially with for the rest of the foundations. I know that Salesforce is a big requirement for the kind of transfer of data. So once that's ready, we'll be plugging in as quick as we can. This kind of we're waiting to be able to do that. I wanted to we're going to talk about digital transformation later on, but your approach every time I've either speak to you or been up to see you, there's always kind of a new project that's seems like it's the first time I've seen it before. So I know previously, a couple of years back, it was the esports, and I know you've got something new with kind of VR, AR. I was wondering if we can, I've got a bit for me as well, kind of geeking out on that. I like to hear anything new tech. I imagine you all walking around the new facility with your Apple Vision Pros on or whatever you're wearing. But if you could talk about I guess first the esports program. So I think that's a really strong one for, well, maybe across the foundations, but I think for all organisations to get involved in.
Yeah. So what I should probably caveat all of this conversation with is I'm not a technology person. I'm okay at using technology, but actually when it comes to a lot of this, I'm a bit of a novice. So I've learned quite a lot about it. So I can kind of show you how easy it is to embed. So we opened the facility in April 2022, and just as we were building the facility, we got pitched the idea of esports. My last sort of real gaming was probably a PlayStation 1, or the PlayStation as it was probably called back then. So didn't really understand the world around esports, but the more we dug into it, we realized that it's an enormous area for young people, particularly gaming, and we wanted to capitalize on that. Some issues around the heart of our activity being physical activity and getting young people moving. How do we justify putting them at a console gaming all day? But actually, we've embedded it all together, and we've designed and developed a bespoke esports room in our facility, which is kitted out with some good spec equipment. But probably the learning journey for us was around, and the technology was, it's all cloud based, and the games are online. How do you manage that safely within the bounds of safeguarding? So we've had to do things like, there you go, nice image of it.
Just want to show you that, yeah.
We've had to do things like install an independent server with its own dedicated phone line, so that actually the young people who are in there, they've got no access to the rest of the networks that we're connected to. We've bought a software system called GG Rock, which is an American company, but it turns the PCs into a kiosk. So the idea is that any young person can come in from our local community who doesn't have an account for FIFA, doesn't have a Rocket League account, doesn't have a League of Legends account, and can click on any one of our accounts to play the game. So if I'm sat next to James, I would click NUF1, James would click NUF2. Suddenly we can play against each other on FIFA, sat next to each other without on different machines.
And then
So
that's almost like the old school arcades, right? Like you still going to the arcade.
Old school arcade brought into the modern world in a fully safeguarded way. That then led to a conversation around a system called HADO, H-A-D-O, which is an augmented reality dodgeball game. So the idea with this is young people can get digitally distracted. We wanted to make them digitally engaged in a really gamified way. So HADO is a South Korean game, I think, Japanese South Korean game, where you play 3v3 physically. So you're physically up and playing the game and moving around, but your dodgeball and your shield is all gamified. So you put a headset on, you put a wristband on with a little console on, and you play dodgeball digitally. So for the kids and adults, absolutely love it because you're playing dodgeball, but you're not chucking a ball at each other. And the beauty of it is, if James is really fit, can jump around a court, can throw a ball as hard as he wants, and I'm really unfit and can't do that, you can turn all of James's attributes down and you can turn all of mine up. So no matter how hard James tries to throw the ball at me, it comes at me really slowly. And even if I throw the ball really slowly, it'll fire at James really quickly. So that's a quick animation of it. So you can see the
Yeah.
ball and the shield are all digital, but actually the
Yeah.
movement is real people moving around. So that's a
So
piece of
are you
technology.
using it, Andrew, using this with adapted sports, like with other maybe anyone who's maybe got any additional needs or
You can, yeah. So you
like
can.
leveling the playing field a little bit?
You can play it seated. So you can play it seated. There's a version of the game where you one, two, or three people can play together, and this giant monster comes to attack you, and you've just got to throw the balls at the monster. So there's a couple of versions of it that let you play in an adapted way.
Nice. I saw that's an internal comment. Sorry, saying Andrew saying he wants to get this for the office. Um,
We'll have to come to Newcastle to have a game.
yeah, but no, I was going to say
There's-
anyone who wants. I'm sure anyone who wants to reach out, any of the foundation wants to reach out and learn a bit more about it or
Yeah.
how you implemented that.
it's a pretty expensive piece of kit, but you buy a lifetime license for it, and it runs off iPhone SEs. So actually, the equipment itself isn't expensive. It's the license costs you a bit. Ourselves, there's a set in Barnsley, and there's a centre in Coventry for Haddo. So it's not a very popular one, but we use it for student engagement, participant engagement. We do it for staff CPD, corporate team building days. We sell it for parties as well as running some clubs.
Right.
So it's a multi-use piece of kit using technology to get people more physically active.
And just, I guess getting back to we had the title of the webinar was around like that safety aspect and stuff. So when we're talking about, for us, it's kind of data safety and kind of integrity, making sure that all your data sharing policies are actually, they're not just written, but you're able to actually implement them and abide by them. But then I guess outside that, you've got so many moving parts in the organization, so many participants, kids, coaches, everyone moving around with the facility, just dropping in and stuff. Do you have anything else that you maybe focus on from whether it's a safeguarding point of view or health and safety angle, reporting, stuff that you've got that you might be either doing now or looking at down the line that you think would be a good
Yeah, so
good thing to share?
you're right. We've had a few instances of over the years of how do we track and record and report incidences with people being out and about outreach, and without having to use paper and emails to be sharing lots of personal details. So we use a system called Record My, which is an online reporting platform that can record safeguarding, EDI, behavioural incidents, complaints, anything that we need to flag centrally can be recorded in that system. It's a web-based platform, so all of our staff got access to it remotely. You can do it from a mobile, tablet, laptop, whatever you need to, and a staff member would log an incident, and it'll then automatically raise that incident to the relevant teams. So our safeguarding team, if it's a safeguarding, EDI leads, senior managers, if it's rated sort of a crimson incident. But what it really allows us to do is pull the data out and develop some insights around it. So we can look at trends of safeguarding incidents, for example, and find out what's the most common thing coming in. We can look at things like behavioural incidents from participants and people coming in the building, and we could have a look at it and say, well, actually, on our football development program, the most common behaviour incident is inappropriate language. So we can do some training with the staff on dealing with that. It might be on our Prince's Trust team program. It's around violence towards staff. So we can then develop our training and our support and our guidance based on the real insight that we're getting from real-time reporting. So Record My has been a really good tool for us to be able to track and report on health and safety and safeguarding.
Nice. And I just last one, I was going to ask, what's the biggest challenge you've got at the moment from if we're talking about trying to go digital or something that you just can't let go of the paper and pen or the diary and stuff like that? Is there something that you're banging on about with all the team or
It's I suppose the two big challenges we've got are people and scale. We've got a lot of people who are doing different jobs. There's 259 of us in the foundation now doing different roles. So there's quite a lot of people there. And then people being people, everybody's a bit different. Some people are complete technophobes and want to stay away from it. So we're having a look at how we gently embed the key systems with them, whereas others want to run away with technology. And believe it or not, we've recently just moved all of our central storage to SharePoint. And some people are really good and have started creating all of these new SharePoints and folders and files, and it's caused a bit of confusion. So actually, just getting people to go at the pace we want them to, and whether that's speeding some people up or slowing some people down to stay on track with development, has probably been the biggest challenge in embedding all the different systems we've got.
And I think you mentioned there, like people being people. I suppose it's the main thing is getting that culture change. It feels like when you visit the foundation, everyone's on board. Like you said, they might be on different paces, but they're all on board with knowing that we need to be
Yeah, I think you're right. And the culture piece is what I've personally learned over the past few years, especially in a much more senior role, is like we're telling people much more about the why. So like before we tell them what they've got to do, we tell them about why they're doing it. So that piece with digital technology about it's efficient, it speeds up reporting, it saves them having 10 different spreadsheets with information on. When I ask them for some data, it means hopefully they should be able to click one button in a report and they'll get all the information they need. Or actually, I won't have to ask them for a report because I can go in there and get it myself. So that why piece around the culture, I think, has proved to be really important, and one that has definitely helped us shape the culture of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, I was going to add to that in terms of culture. We have one of our features. I think one of our best features is a check-in feature, and that's probably one of the hardest ones to be implemented in organizations because it's moving from. And this check-in feature isn't a tracker or anything. It's just coaches can check in at the location, and it gives a little timestamp and a location stamp. So the managers, like yourself, you've got 100 coaches out there. You can look at the map and you see, right, nice, everyone's green, everyone's got there on time and arrived. But that's a big change for coaches to go from like actually marking their attendance and stuff. So that one really needs to be explained. The why. It's not to kind of get on anyone's back. It's really, we built it for lone worker protections feature to make sure they all kind of get there safe and leave safely. But no, I hear you on that one, Andrew. So I don't know if there's any questions from anyone listening, but like I say, if there's anything that you wanted to know or you want to be connected with Andrew afterwards, we can share, either put you in touch or get your details are probably pretty available, right, for the foundation. So
Yeah, I'll put my contact details in the chat as well if anybody wants to.
All right, perfect.
Try an email or phone.
Nice. So just making good time actually. So what I'm going to do is just walk us through, and appreciate you again, Nev, Andrew, for taking the time out to spend time with us this afternoon. I'm going to just share quickly a PDF, and this is one for you that you can download afterwards. But effectively, we've been talking about that digital transformation piece across organizations, and whether it's if you're as advanced as the team now, you might be, so it might not be relevant at all. But this is just a little tool that we created for, it's almost like a self-assessment tool that you can, as a senior team member or someone who's been tasked with kind of driving this internally, because it does take a kind of one or two or even three or four champions within an organization, especially at scale. This is a way for you to self-assess your organization and see where you are along that journey. So just 4 tasks, downloadable workbook. It's just working through seeing like where are we, and where do we want to get to, and knowing that it's a journey, and not even the most technical businesses aren't fully digitally adopted. But if I walk you through here, various different questions, and you'll get your assessment at the end to say kind of where you are along that. So whether you're just starting or whether you're more advanced. So this is just something we've put together. It was download on our website, but also we'll share it. We'll email it out to everyone who's attended or was downloading the recording. So appreciate everyone's time. I know we just got to 40 minutes there, so that's good going. I don't know if anyone has any Q&A for myself or the team, coordinate or Andrew, and if not, I don't think we've got anyone popping up in the chat. But no, I just want to say a big thank you again, Andrew, for joining us. We'll send out the recording to everyone who's here today, and as well as I think maybe another 10 or 15 who couldn't make it but signed up to receive the recording, so we'll get that out, along with the offer of the workbook there. We do offer to kind of walk you through that as well. So yeah, just reach out. Andrew Hicks is probably a man for that. But yeah, thanks for attending. And the next webinar we'll be doing is probably it's going to be about 2 months, and that will be focused on marketing, integration with marketing, and trying to drive increasing your sign-ups, registrations, and bookings on your camps and courses. So
I was going to
yeah,
say
looking forward to that.
before
Sorry,
you
Jacob.
hang up, James, I think Joe's just got a question. Do you want to ask
Oh
it
yeah,
in
sorry,
the chat, Joe?
Joe. Yeah.
It's about API links, James. What are the timescales looking like?
Yeah, so we have 2 or 3 that we're working on now that I guess where we're in control of those, they're quite quick to be worked on. So one is a partnership with to a quicker processing of childcare vouchers, and a couple of others that are kind of more behind the scenes, zero accounting, etc. The main one, I guess, Joe, I'm not sure what organization
Man United,
you're with Man
Man
United,
United
yeah. So
Foundation.
Joe, yeah. So I guess you're asking around kind of reporting for Salesforce. So that one, we're on the steering group with the Premier League Charitable Fund. So when the I've got a message there. When the APIs are released, we're straight on it. So we're waiting to be able to complete those. The one we were talking about earlier will be slightly different because that's obviously a sales aspect that we're talking about. So those are 2 separate streams. But yeah, as soon as that Salesforce API is available for us to work on, we will do. I think one thing to note as well is that for us, we know, I think Andrew Hicks, if you haven't spoken to him already, he's got like a backlog of foundations that have seen a product want to work with us, but that's a kind of a sticking point for them. So I'd urge, like, if you do like what we're doing and you think it's going to be a good fit, to kind of look at potentially confirming that partnership now, because we just don't want to we don't want to let anyone down. So if we suddenly get the API and have an influx of signups, we want to make sure we can implement you at the right time. So yeah, sorry, Andrew, you can jump in, mate.
Yeah, I was just going to say one thing there for Joe that might help that question. So there is an API link from Views to Salesforce, which is active. So our view on it, our view about Views, our take on it at the minute is we're going to get the information from Coordinate. Views is going to be our central repository for every program, not just PLCF. And then we're hoping that hopefully Coordinate gets the API link into Salesforce directly. But if that takes a long time, which it could, hopefully the information could be sucked in via Views anyway. So there's kind of a workaround there in the meantime. That Views Salesforce API, who knows how long it'll stay open for, but at the minute there is a workaround. And Andy Hicks was just in touch this morning or yesterday for the API, saying he's ready to go to some testing for Coordinate to Views. So that looks like it's going to happen quite quickly.
Yeah, yeah, Joe, I know you just followed up there. What would be the benefit for using Coordinate rather than just Views? So, not quite sure exactly how you're using Views in Man United there, but what we would say is Coordinate is an operational platform. So if you think about, you'd have your front end booking system and back end logistics. So all the moving parts in the organization is where Coordinate kind of would help you with that. So yeah, scheduling your staff, passing the registers to them without having to download and share it elsewhere. Also marking attendance. So I don't know. I think we would say it's kind of a more fuller suite than just with the reporting side of things. And also then you can use it across different programs. All of your participants have their own login. They can log in, make bookings, update, set up subscriptions, etc. All these different things that you could use for your commercial side as well as just the kind of funded programs. But happy to follow up on Andrew, probably follow up, and we could arrange like a specific demo or follow up with some more information on that. But yeah, so, okay, got you. Right. So yeah, I've just seen Dom on there for incident accident reporting. Andrew, so Dom from Proactive.
So yeah, it's all Record My for incident accidents. It all goes through the same system. So the way that works is you go to create an incident. It gives you a number of options of the type of incident: health and safety, safeguarding, EDI, behavioural, whatever it will be. Member of staff ticks that, and then it'll flag it to the relevant leads for those areas. So it's all through Record My.
Okay, guys. If there's anything else that you think of, especially even the guys listening on recording, yeah, just reply back to the email that you've received the recording from with any questions, and we'll come back to you on that. And then yeah, looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Like I said, a bit more of a focus on marketing and tracking conversion and increasing participation and bookings on the next webinar. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you all then. And thanks again, Andrew. Thanks, Jacob, for your time.